This morning, more questions over what China knew about the coronavirus and when. US officials telling NBC News they picked up intelligence in November that indicated there could be a public health issue, possibly an outbreak in Wuhan, China. And with China now claiming few new cases and even fewer deaths, a US intelligence official tells us even now the White House has been briefed to be skeptical of China's reporting.
Their numbers seem to be a little bit on the light side, and I'm being nice when I say that.
Chinese doctors like Li Wenliang, who alerted the world, were silenced, forced to confess, making false comments. He died of coronavirus. China's role must be investigated, many lawmakers believe.
They were not as transparent as they should have been.
But Chinese officials assert China has always been open, transparent, and responsible in its efforts. And one study found China's lockdown in January did delay the global spread of the virus. But earlier in January, the World Health Organization tweeted that Chinese authorities had found no clear evidence of human-to-human transmission, sparking questions about whether the organization was too trusting of the country. The White House task force last week explaining their analysis of the early reports out of China.
The medical community interpreted the Chinese data as that this was serious but smaller than anyone expected, because I think probably we were missing a significant amount of the data now that when we see what happened to Italy and we see what happened to Spain.
Growing criticism from the Trump administration forcing the Director General of the World Health Organization to respond.
Please don't politicize this virus.
But China is presenting itself as a global guardian angel. This is a 747 full of goggles, face shields and protective suits arriving in New York from China. Do you think China is trying to help America or help itself?
Well, I think from the very beginning of this crisis, the Chinese Communist Party, its government, has been more interested in its public image than it has been in addressing this disease.
NBC News has analyzed over 200 examples of social media messaging by Communist Party officials and state-run media, uncovering what appears to be a concerted pro-China campaign in English. China's aim, many in Washington believe, no less than to replace America's global authority.
We are at real risk of being seen to have been weakened and to have ceded our leadership role in the world.
And we did reach out to the Chinese ambassador in Washington, who declined an interview, Craig.
Hey, Keir, what lessons are we as a country learning about China right now?
Well, this is across the aisle, Craig. So both Senators Rubio and Coons, who you heard in my report there, told me that they believe one of the questions is the amount of medical supplies that we rely on from China. That said, disengaging had its own risks. So Reuters reported last year that the CDC representative in China was removed from China by the Trump administration. That person's role was to try to look out for diseases. You know, Craig, big historic events like this change our worldviews. Just think about the way that 9/11 changed our perspective on the Middle East. What the American people need to know is that this conversation isn't waiting for this crisis to be over. The conversation about what to do about China, if you like, is happening now. Craig?
So many questions. Keir Simmons for us there in London. Keir, thank you.